How's it, guys? My name is David, and this is my first Fantasy Football Premier League video. I'm currently in the top 50k, so I'd thought that maybe let me start a YouTube channel for it or whatever. I know it's kind of cheating because I didn't start from the beginning, so if I did badly, I didn't have the turmoil of having my fantasy team on the public eye. But nevertheless, let's just get into it. I'm going to start with a review of my first 4 game weeks. As you can see, I did pretty well in game week 1. This was mainly down to having Mendy and Robertson in defense, the two guys that did quite well. And then obviously Richarlison. My captain Salah did averagely well, but I also had Mane to back him up. And then Bernardo Silva, of course, also did well. So I had basically all the players that did well. The bad thing was that I did end up benching Wan-Bissaka, who got 12 points over Bailly's 2. But whatever, you can't win them all, you know. And then if we go to game week 2, I actually got the exact same points. This was mainly down to captaining Aguero, as I know a lot of people did. Some ended up captaining Salah, which wasn't the worst option, but obviously Aguero ended up getting 20 points, so he was the best option that game week. Not too much from the others. Salah and Mane, the Liverpool duo, ended up with 19 points, and Richarlison continued his goal-scoring streak. And then Robertson and Mendy returns again. Luckily, I did bench Wan-Bissaka this game week, but he was playing Liverpool, so that wasn't a hard decision. Now going into game week 3, it was an average game week. I didn't do the best. Ended up bringing in Alonso for Bailly, and then I brought in Fraser. I dropped Josh King because he was just trolling me. And I didn't feel like picking up Wilson, which wasn't the best decision. I probably should have gone for him. I took a 4-point hit this game week. I made 3 transfers, but Alonso paid off. Obviously, Richarlison with the red card wasn't ideal, but what can you do about that? He had returned good points in the previous game weeks. And then going on to game week 4, it was also another average game week, a little bit higher than the average. Mendy, Alonso, and Robertson all returned. Pickford with a save point, and Mane again continued to score. And my captain Aguero ended up getting an assist, if I remember correctly. Zaha being injured was a blow to this game week, and obviously it's been the international break now, so we can go to my team currently. I've ended up not deciding to use the wild card. I know a lot of people in the FPL community, especially on Twitter and YouTube, are using it. I can understand why. Maybe you want to freshen up your team, but even though there's a lot of yellow players in my team, I don't think that I have to use it. Fraser picked up a knock playing for Scotland in the international break, so we don't know the severity of it yet. And then Zaha has been rumored to be returning, has returned to training and should be fit for the Huddersfield clash. The only one that I'm really worried about is Walcott. I might have to transfer him out. I'm thinking of transferring him to Madison. A lot of people want to maybe bank the transfer and then bring back Richarlison, but I don't really favor the Arsenal fixture that much, even though I know there could be goals in there, as Arsenal defense isn't that great. But Madison has 2 good game weeks. Let me just bring him up here. Yeah, he ends up playing Bournemouth away and then Huddersfield. And Huddersfield at home is a very good fixture. I'd probably say it's the best fixture this game week. Huddersfield are struggling quite a bit. And then he's got very nice fixtures. So whereas I can see how Madison does versus Bournemouth and Huddersfield, and then I can always go back to Richarlison for the Fulham, Leicester, and Crystal Palace games. But so far, if Walcott does come out and he ends up not being injured, then I'm more than likely to just bank the transfer and then make 2 transfers the following game week. The reason I chose not to use my wild card is that I'm a little bit worried about the Champions League. For example, if you go to Liverpool, they have Spurs, and then before the Southampton game, they play Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. Um, so I do think that Klopp's going to rotate for this Huddersfield fixture. I think the team will return back to normal for the Chelsea game. Um, but yeah, so they have a very bad streak of 7 games. So I might have to transfer out a player like Robertson because the Liverpool wingbacks or fullbacks, they take a lot of strain with the pressing style. They run up and down a lot. So if there is a player in the Liverpool team that is likely to be rotated, I do think it's going to be a player like Robertson. With Salah or Mane, they can always play 60 minutes and then bring them off for a player like Shaqiri. Whereas with your defense, you usually want to keep it the same for the 90 minutes. So I will see what I do with Robertson the following game week. And then obviously I'll just save the wild card. But if you are wild carding, I would look for players that you think are going to do well from now till the end of the season. So not the end of the season to December, sorry. So as you saw, I picked like a Leicester player. They have very good fixtures till about the December time. And one of the shouts that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is Lukaku. He seems to be scoring at least 1 goal every game. Well, except for obviously versus Spurs, but they didn't really play that well. Man United haven't really been playing well. But these 4 fixtures, even the Chelsea fixture and then the Everton fixture, last season, I remember correctly, he did end up scoring against Everton. So if you can keep him till about game week 11, to me, he's a great shout. His ownership is not that high. And I just think that a lot of people aren't talking about him because we do have a player like Aguero priced around the same. If you are going without Salah, then maybe you can look at Lukaku, but otherwise having Aguero and Lukaku is quite difficult. A lot of people also talking about getting rid of Salah, so I'll let you decide what you do with him. I don't know if it's worth the risk of transferring him out, but if you are in the top like 1 mil and above and you really need to try and catch up pace, maybe it's worth taking those risks. I knew that some of my players were going to drop in value. Bernardo Silva dropped last night. So that's a pity, but I decided to take the hit of the team value because they weren't going to change the selling prices. So Bernardo Silva was 7.6 and now he's dropped to 7.5, but it didn't matter if I transferred him out or not. He stayed the same. As I said with Walcott now, going on to Fantasy Football Fix, it's the website I use for monitoring price drops and everything. The only player maybe is Walcott that he might drop, but I don't think so. If he is looking like he's going to be dropping, then I will transfer him out. As I said, probably for Madison. He looks the most likely option at this point. Yeah, so that's basically my my team, and my team will set up like this for the next game week. One player might be injured, so then I have Wan-Bissaka coming on. I might play Wan-Bissaka anyway because I think Huddersfield's a very good fixture. And then obviously the only other player would be maybe Madison for Walcott if he is confirmed out. My captain's going to be Aguero versus Fulham. I think this one's kind of a no-brainer. I do think that Liverpool will score versus Spurs, but I just think that Fulham at home is a lot better fixture for Aguero. I think he's going to get a couple. As you can see, my team value is 102 million, which isn't that bad. And I did take a slight drop after this game week to 43,000th in the world. Yeah, so that's basically going to wrap up my my video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is my first fantasy football video. I will be releasing a Champions League football draft for the upcoming Champions League fantasy. But other than that, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And please leave a comment if you have any questions, and leave a like and subscribe if you are wanting more fantasy football content in the future. But otherwise, this has been David, and I'm out.